Okay, welcome back to the Are You Strong show. I don't even know where to start today with the three guests that I have on, and one of them you may recognize the name for those who have listened in the past. You know, Lance, Theobald Jr. And
Sure.
I have two other guys on today, Duane Ellis Brooks and Troy Conquest, and these three
Brothers,
guys, man. All,
brothers.
all I can say is we had together in the early '80s. We had some major joint suffering, pain suffering. We went through a hell and back together. Um, these guys, I was fortunate enough to be teammates with these three young men, and I love to say young because I still think we're kind of young, but even though the clock is ticking, and I can't wait to dive into the conversations about being back in Orono, Maine, in the early '80s, mid '80s, and just talking about these guys' experience and what they went through, who they became from it, and how it inspired them to become the successful men that they are today. So let's hop right into it, guys. Welcome to the show, and I can't wait to kick it in.
Appreciate being here, man, and good to be here with my brothers.
Yeah.
Been a long time coming. Good to see y'all. You know what I mean? It's good to see your faces. Yeah, yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. So we
Made
got
my
we got
name.
Lancelot Theobald Jr. Right?
Oh,
We got Troy down there, and I don't know how whoever's this is going to be on YouTube too. So I don't know how it
Yep.
shows up on their screens, but we got Troy on the bottom right, and we got Dwayne on the bottom
boy,
left, and
Big
and
D.
guys, I guess the first question, this thing we can just open up to all of us, right? What was you all had all different offers, different conversations, different schools, different coaches, but Orono, Maine, 1983, 1982 for you, Lance, right? What
Yeah.
was the attraction for you guys to say, I'm going to go up there and get my education and play some football?
Well, um, I don't know if you noticed, but I was going up there, and I really didn't want to go. I had I was recruited to Colgate, University of Maryland, and Holy Cross. I went to all those schools. This was the last school, and I didn't want to go up there. And my father was like, "Oh, take the visit, take the visit." So I went up, and then I got into a plane crash. So after being in the plane crash, I lost all my other scholarships because it was all over news and I guess, you're damaged goods at that point. And I got, consecutive letters saying we're basically rescinding our scholarship offers. So
Wow.
Maine was the only school that kept the the scholarship offer. They said if you come back up here, we're willing to offer you a full scholarship. So I came up, I flew up a couple weeks later and accepted the full scholarship. But in no way, shape, or form was I thinking about going or excited to be going to University of Maine. Although I enjoyed it once I was there, but that was not like, oh, let me go to University of Maine. Yeah.
Right. So what was your first choice, Lance?
I would have wanted to go to University of Maryland.
Okay.
You know,
All right. Cool. Troy, Dwayne, how about you guys? What brought you guys up to the Great White North?
Lance, that's simple. I mean, I played football at Belfort with Lance's cousin.
yeah.
And so I had known about Lance prior to going. And then once I met him at my recruiting visit, um, I wanted to be where he was at. And then, with Dwayne coming and then us being roommates, and it was kind of like three amigos, from especially coming from New York, and that's
We all
but
from New York.
three
Right.
different versions of New York. Lance was city, Dwayne was upstate, and I was from the island. And we all brought three different New York attitudes. Like I said, this is a gumbo to me, but it's a gumbo that I've carried with me my whole life, so it was they are me and I am them.
Now, Troy, did
And
you know that
he's
Dwayne was
not
coming or no?
he's not adding to the fact that he told me if I got him a girl, and he got laid. He was
See,
Oh
coming.
my
we're
God.
too early in the show for that,
Okay,
man. All right, so I'll
I
get
knew,
to that.
I knew that was coming. I was just
Yeah,
Right,
waiting for
yeah.
that to
We
come
want,
out.
we want to tell the truth, right?
right,
My
right, right.
man,
But
handsome guy. I had him up there. I said, "I got you, bro. I got you." You
I
know.
mean, but to be honest with you, Jeff, that's how um silly the recruiting was for me anyway. Because everybody else it came down to Maine and Northeastern, and I had a great visit at Northeastern. And it came, me, I was like, all right, I know what I told Lance, you know, and we went out to this bar in Boston and a girl almost punched me in my stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Maine. So it's literally, it's simple as my
It's
process.
probably a little safer up there too.
Absolutely. Now it depends on what woods you went into. So,
what do you call safe, right?
right. And Dwayne
Right?
can speak on that.
Yeah. Dwayne, how about
Yeah.
you? What brought you up there?
Well, as Troy said, Lance was one because we stayed with Lance, and we'll get to that story in a minute. But it was BU, UNH, Maine, and Delaware, and Maine seemed the only place that really liked me, right? So I went up there, and I think it was probably the coldest day on the planet. The wind was blowing.
Yo.
The snow was like 4 feet high. It was crazy. And Lance, I stayed with Lance, and I remember going to his room. He's like, "Yeah, we got date tonight." I'm like, "Yeah, brother, we got a date." He's like, "No, I got a date."
So you left you alone in the room?
No, he left me with Troy Byers and Joe, the dudes from Bucksport. They played baseball,
Right.
and they were across the hall from him, and they were going to that night. It was a Friday night. They were going to what were they in?
SAE, right?
No, SIGAP.
Yeah,
They were in SIGAP.
Party.
Yeah, they're in SIGAP. That's when I fell in love with the muskie, that big old beer, right? But anyway, so we went over to SIGAP, and I hung with those guys, and they were, like, they're still, like I said, they're still my friends today. And
Wow.
and so after that, we were at the fraternity, and I bumped into this young lady, and and it was a good night for me. I got back I got
You
back
guys all have a
that
similar story.
I got back that morning. And as soon as I went to Coach Rogerson's office, even though I'm not really sure he liked me then. He didn't like me when I got there, but
you were fat.
yeah. But I get back, and I'm like, shoot, like, as soon as I walked in the door, I'm like, where do I sign, right? Because I figured, and then, like I said, but it was more being comfortable, and it's just being in Maine. I mean, it was different. I mean, I'm from upstate New York, Poughkeepsie, Wappingers Falls, right on the Hudson River. So, and I'd heard of Lance and Troy, and because Lance had the crash, and that was all over the news in New York, and Troy and I, we both played. We're both decent players, and we're Street and Smith, Bellport. Bellport was like a second-class citizen in football. I always thought my high school was better. But there was always what's better, Long Island, Long Island football, or like Westchester County, Dutchess County football. Those are the battles, and we all knew who each other were, and it was kind of cool to go up there. Kind of getting out of your comfort zone, but comfortable enough. Like I said, there's only on the campus then, out of what it was, maybe 9,000 people on campus.
10,000.
10,000. Okay. So, and only 8 of us looked alike. So
Yeah.
it was good. But Lance was, like I said, Lance was so cool, right? I mean, Lance invented cool, right? I mean, seriously, Lance, I mean, he looks the same now as he did then. I mean,
He looks even better now.
Lance wore no socks with shoes before anybody in the history of the world.
Yes.
He wore dress up pants all the time. He always dressed nice.
Yep.
His hair was always done.
Well, I told you guys last
Right.
time he was our prime time.
Yeah, he was the dude.
Yes.
He was the dude, right? And like I said, he worked hard at everything. And when we first got there, but I mean that was why I went. And then like I said, and I somehow, Max Lowe, even though everybody thought he didn't like me because the way he talked to me, because I could take all the bullshit, because I could take smoke now. And he would say crazy things to me, but he actually loved me. Yeah. And I knew it. So yeah, I mean, that dude actually loved me. So, but he used to go at me now, and I deserved it. I deserved. But yeah, that's why I went.
I think we all got what we deserved at some point in time.
Well, yeah,
you're right. I think most of the coaches up there, they did care.
Yeah.
And hey, if we did something we weren't supposed to do, they let us know.
Yeah.
Which but Duane, you said something, 10,000 people, 8 of us don't look like everybody else.
Yeah.
I know that's
two black women. Seriously. That's what it was.
Yep. So let's get into that, man. Like, what was that like for you guys? I remember showing up, I forget when the hell it was, August or something in 1983. And I was scared shitless of what was going to happen to us and to me, and not knowing what to expect. But how was that experience for you guys showing up there and dealing with that?
Who wants to go?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, brother.
For me, it was I was always able to adapt to wherever I was at, and I wrote a book, and I asked Lori. Everybody, y'all remember Lori McPherson?
Yep.
That was my partner. So I asked her to write something, a testimonial, and she said something that I had never heard before, but I've used since then. She said that Lance was always comfortable in his own skin. You know what I mean? You kind of dropped him in this place where it wasn't many of him, but he looked like the only person that was comfortable about who he was. Everybody else was trying to figure out who they were. And then I realized that had a lot of truth to it. A lot of it had to do with the fact that I had been in a plane crash, car crash, train accident, almost drowned all in the same year. So I began to think that I was a gift from God. You know what I mean? So I was able to go anywhere and be comfortable because I always thought I had the upstairs guiding me. And that's real. And I still feel that today. So it never bothered me one bit. And you're talking about, we would walk into town and people would grab their kids, right? They would lock their doors. You know how many times I went past a car and they
lock the door?
Absolutely.
But I used to say, you're supposed to do that. I'm from freaking Brooklyn. You're supposed to be scared of me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But seriously, people would grab their kids, or when you walking in the mall, they would go to the other side. Shit like that. But it never, ever bothered me. It never bothered me. You know what I mean? Cops, I don't even know if y'all knew this, but 2 times we got stopped on the road. Remember Sims?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gunpoint. We were speeding, but really gunpoint. And then, they got out get out the car. And I was like, God damn, here we go again. You know what I mean? But never really affected me. Never really affected me because, coming from New York, you were used to that. And then it was just, never was affected by it. You know what I mean? Never was affected by it. Or so I thought. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Troy.
Me, I was absolutely affected by it. My parents growing up in the 60s and all that stuff. Then, like I said, to come up there, it was like, and I would say this analogy to Duane, one of these things is different than the other. And I would look at him and it would be me and him. And he'll tell, this is a story I will tell until the day I die with him. We would literally come out of Hannibal Hamlin. We would look out into the courtyard. And I would say, Duane, the only thing that's brown out here is leaves, dog shit, and us. And it would be, all right. It's cold, you know, we'd have to walk halfway across campus sometimes to go to an aerobics class and, get abused by a woman that bench pressed more than us, and Lance would be in the front of the class and all. I'm like, damn, but the one thing about being up there with Duane and Lance is, like I said, we are it. We come from the biggest city on the east. We're from New York, but we're three different New Yorks. So, but like I said, to see the way Lance carried it, to see the way the Duane carried it, and like I said, I was more or less like the middle one. I'm like, all right, we're up here. We got to find a way to make a way to show how good we were. And we did, but we had to go through so much bullshit. Like, a friend of mine and Lance and Duane know, a girl I was dating, her father took her scholarship because she was dating me.
I know that.
And I'm like,
What was that?
Oh, Angela?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know. I knew y'all dated for years, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, he told her, he dating him. I'm not paying for you to go to school. He took it. Duane and I would go visit Lewis and Auburn down there. And originally, Denny's used to be called Sambo's.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Duane and I'm like, hey, wait, because we used to, like I said, I come from Maryland, and I've been down south. Duane has as well. But this, like I said, this is in '83.
Sambo's. Little
I
black
had I worked in Bangor, for a summer. And this, I don't think I've told this to Duane. I don't think I've told this to Lance. I think I've told it to Duane. I had a girl because I was a recreation. I was working some program Tim Wilson had got me into. And the girl, Jeff, went and she took her finger across my skin and said it didn't come off. And then she asked me, was I related to Theo Huxtable? I'm like, but again, we are only as smart as what we are taught. She had never seen a black person alive before. This is in '83 in Bangor, man. So, whoo. Like I said, when we got off the plane, Duane, we're like, this is the first time we ever walked off a plane. I'm like, wait, this shit is cold. I'm like, mm-mm. But again, we found a way to make a way, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeffrey. So, I'm the ultimate chameleon, right? For some reason, I'm to everyone, I'm likable. Black, white, Mexican, Asian, seriously. So me. First of all, my grandmother always told me, you are not the minority, you're the majority. So wherever you go, you're that dude. I'm like, perfect. So I've carried that with me. So when I went to Maine, and I just tried to blend in, and basically I did. That was my survival skill, right? Because I could hang out with Garbo and Dan McClung and Russell Muse. Those dudes were henchmen. Those dudes were dangerous, right? But for some reason, they really liked me.
Yeah,
they loved you.
No, so I mean, I had them, and like I said, I had Troy and Lance, and and just everybody else around, and it's funny. I mean, I could have been a really good student, but I was just a lazy, arrogant jackass, and I just thought it was gonna, I just thought I could just do whatever. So I my first 2 years of school, I barely went to class, and I can remember one day I actually went to take a test, and the professor he goes, Mr. Ellis Brooks, we haven't seen you around in a while. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, we haven't seen you in like a couple weeks. I'm like, I'm here all the time. He's like, really? He goes, come up here for a minute. So I went up to the front of the class. He goes, turn around and tell me what you see. So I turned around and looked. It was just a sea of white folk. He goes, see what I'm saying? He goes, I know you haven't been here. He goes, you probably should try to come to school every now and again because you're pretty bright. He goes, I get it. He goes, but I know when you're not here because I can tell.
Oh,
It's
shit.
easy. Yeah,
I just got that. Oh,
yeah, you
wow.
know. So
That's
I'm like,
funny.
I'm like,
Hey,
all right. I'm like, all right, my man. But I mean, it's just I kind of blended in, right? But and for me too, I had a quick fuse back then. Now I'm loving, right? But I had a quick fuse back when I was a young Thundercat. So when if I thought you were getting out of hand, we had some problems. I was gonna whoop your ass, right? So it was, but I was just a part of it. I was never afraid. I never didn't think I didn't belong, right? I just, when no, I was thinking about this. I think about it all the time. I'm like, all the things that has happened to me, good, bad, and different, were things because of me. As much as I like to blame somebody else,
my
those
fault.
kind of things, it's my fault. And I go, so I mean, I made many mistakes, and I probably continue to. I go, but the best thing that Maine taught me was that me owning up to my mistakes and plus not taking people with me, right? It made me a better person, because when I got in trouble, it was all on me, right? When the police were chasing me on campus, I never ran back to the dorm because I get Troy into trouble, so I'd hide in the bush, or I'd go hide up in Hart, or go hide in Hart or something, trying to sneak around. But then they say, you know what, Duane? They get on the speaker and say, you either come down to the police station, we're going to call Coach Roderson. So I'd have to go. I'd have to go down.
Because it's not like we don't know who you are, Duane.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
280 pounds.
Right.
But Duane, what were you doing for them to chase you?
Well, I was mischievous. I was what's the word I'm looking for?
Just doing silly shit?
Yeah, well, I was just right. I go, if you talk shit to me, we had problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I was
Jeff,
probably
we got hemmed up. We got hemmed up walking to Kennebec Hall with a case of beer.
Yeah.
They brought 4 cops.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you got? What do you do? I'm like, Duane, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we were just walking. Were we underage? Yes. 4 cops, oh man, for beer.
Right.
I did way worse up there that deserved 4 cops.
Right.
And the
But
sad
not
thing is
with
that
beer.
Leroy was the sergeant of the police department. You had to go find my boy Harry, but Harry was getting too old.
Harry was the big older guy, right?
Yes,
That was
Harry
our
got
guy.
us out of a lot of.
That was
Harry
our
got
guy.
me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times you remember Chris Gilman, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he and I were roommates freshman year. Man, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I talked to Harry about him. And there was one time there was a fight. I think it was SAE, and down in the basement, and it was like the whoever he was fighting, I couldn't even recognize his face.
Yeah, we were there.
You remember that?
I remember.
The blood was
Bloodbath. Oh, it was
everywhere.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think the best fight with him might have been the one where he was naked fighting everybody, coming out of Phi I mean, not Phi Eta, but coming out of Theta. What's it? Theta on top of next to Hancock? What's that fraternity right there? Right across the street from court. Right across the street from
Phi Eta. Was it Phi Eta?
No, Phi Eta was down by.
Nah.
That's down.
What?
That's down. But what was the
Was
one?
that
The red
Duane?
one.
Was it Tep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whichever one.
Across from Hancock.
Yeah, whenever one Gleavis was in, right?
Yeah,
He got in the fight there. He got in the fight there one night. He came downstairs naked. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. My boy's racking up. I'm like, Lord have mercy. But I mean, Harry and Troy were tight, so Harry took care of us. But I mean,
right.
all the things I got, I deserved, good and bad.
Right. All right. Well, let's talk about some good stuff. What is, you're up there, 4 or 5 years. What's the most memorable moment that, hey, this was an enjoyable moment, that you put a smile on your face. Hey, you know what? I got this out of it, and this was a great experience.
The whole experience.
Every fucking day.
Every day, the people up there, now with all the bad, and I wouldn't say these were all just experiences.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, the people that I met, some of the local people that I'm still in contact with, I wouldn't change that for the world. And I've had some things happen to me up there that have affected me. But overall, I love the people up there. I love the experience. You know what I mean? The experience of the ball, the experience of hanging out with the fellas, hanging out with you guys, living with you guys. We all lived together my senior
year.
year. We all lived together. All those experiences I still take with me to this day. I remember I said to myself, I'm never going back up to Maine. You know, and Laura McPherson, and it was never about the people. It was always about what happened to me. And Laura McPherson says, come on, Lance. I mean, you got to get over that. You know what I mean? You know, people loved you up there. You know,
Yeah.
you got to get over that and let that go. And I reluctantly let it go. They were honoring my freshman year's team. And it happened to be their senior year. Our freshman year, we won the championship. And then there might have been your junior or senior year, they won.
Yeah.
So you had the guys my freshman year and the guys my senior year, they were all up there. So I went up there for the first time and absolutely am so glad that I did do it, because it just brought back all the great memories that we had and great experiences. So, you know, although we talk about, you know, or I can speak for myself. Although we talk about, you know, how it was as blacks up there, you know, which is okay. The experiences, the friends, the love and camaraderie that we felt on the team far exceeds any bad stuff that has happened. You know what I mean? And I've had some shit happen. You know. What about you guys?
For me, one always is graduation. To graduate when I, you know, after losing you and Duane not being there. And, you know, at the time, my mom was sick, you know, and she said to me, all I want to see you do is graduate.
Wow.
And just like, you know, um, like I said, Lance, Duane knows more than you. But like I said, she was really, really, really sick. And to have her make it all the way up there from Maryland to see me graduate, that was the biggest flex. Because again, to sit on that field and look around and see, I think it was just me and the girl that ran track to Wayne that graduated. Because I graduated in the spring of '88. Because I graduated in December, but I walked in '88. Two, you know, and to see only two black people in the crowd, but to see my parents there, you know, that nothing will top that other than my graduation, you know, in the Marine Corps and all that stuff. But again, if I can make it in Maine, you know, we talk about making it in New York. If you can make it in Maine, you can make it anywhere, you know, and I just, like I said, you and Duane set the table for me, you know, in good and bad. You know, like I said, I'm the middle child of you two, you know, so graduation for me and beating Bobby in the intramural championship of
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
That,
that might be number
that,
one.
woo,
Yeah.
Have you busted his
woo.
ass since or no? Have you guys talked to him at all or no?
He don't fuck with us, Dur.
No,
They don't
But
mess
like
with us, brother.
again, Jeff, you got to understand. Mike Buck, I played in the championship game in New York. So when Mike came up there to Maine, actually, it was like, oh my God, somebody's taken again, because Bobby took it from Rich and
Yep.
Rich, you know, and then here comes Mike Buck and he's from Long Island. So I loved it, you know.
Oh, you
So
talk about Buck, the quarterback, when
yes,
when he
sir. He was
snatched
from
it from Bobby
Stable.
Wilder.
Yes, he
He
took
snatched
all
it
of
from
Bobby's stuff, all of it,
yep.
Snatched it
all
from
of it,
him.
you know.
But
So
Bobby snatched it from Labonte.
Yep.
yes, right. And I
Yep.
love Rich, you know, like I said, Rich, because Rich was Jack Leone, the kicker's
Yeah,
best
those two,
friend.
they
Yeah,
were funny.
yeah.
So, I
Wow.
mean, hey, but again, it was like I said, for me, it was graduation. And again, you know, like I said,
Mike Buck.
Wayne and Lance, my experience.
Wow.
Cool.
And mine is a combination of both them, right? But they both said, I actually live in Maine, brother.
Right.
I live in Acadia National Park, right? So when I used to be I was one of the greatest bouncers in American history. So when I used to go down the jetties on the weekends on
Oh,
some
Jetty
summers, and
in Bar Harbor.
we'd be rolling down. I'd be like, man, one day
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna buy a place down here. And those guys look at me and say, shut your fucking mouth. You're not buying your black ass ain't gonna live down here. And I always told myself, I go, if I ever made money or got it, if I ever got my life together and got it together, that's where I'll be. And that's where I am, right? But
Yes,
I was
sir.
lucky enough with all the, like Lance said, just the people. The people in Maine, they just didn't know what black was or black men. They had no idea. They just knew what they saw on TV, even though we only had 3 stations, right, back then. So they only know what they saw on TV. But when they if they liked you, they liked you. Did not matter, right? So when I go to Maine, it's home for me. I mean, I live there, and so now, and I still see people, Emily Ellis, Kissy, all these people that I went to school with, Andy Shea, all these people still remember who I am, and that is the most important thing to me, just to be remembered a little bit. And when I go to Maine, I go back, I go back to Maine, and everybody calls me D Train, right? Because I was because the D Train never stops, right? So,
absolutely.
But that's what I end up when I go home, and it was the best place for me, and it took me until they kicked my crazy ass up out of there to realize that, you know what, you probably need to get it together and get it right.
Yo, did you graduate from there?
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, good.
December '87.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
that's great.
The only dark one in that crowd that day.
Really? Good.
Right. I'll just give you, from my perspective, guys, as a white guy walking around with, like you guys said 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This sounds stupid, and Lance, when you asked me that question at the end of our show, how come nobody stood up for you? I'm like, man, I didn't even know. Remember? I'm like, that's when I got a little choked up, and like I was an 18, 19-year-old white kid walking around with 9,997 other white guys, never knowing, never understood what you guys were dealing with, how you felt. And you know what really sucks is none of us asked you. None of us asked you, hey, how you doing? That I know of. No, I don't think anybody even realized that you guys had any type of concerns, worries, or issues.
Ooh,
You know?
ooh, there was a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I saw more, Jeff, because like I said, I saw what happened to Lance.
Yeah.
I saw what happened to Duane. And it's making me shake right now because you say nothing was done. Actually, something was done. They brought Tim Wilson in to talk to us, and Tim actually, when we were going through all the influxes with coaches, I mean, Tim, you talk about somebody that saved my butt and who's still like up there
I
to
don't even know
me.
who is that, Troy? I don't even know who that is.
He was Tim. Duane, how long has Tim been connected with Orono?
God, 50 years probably.
Yeah.
More than that,
Tim
maybe.
went to Maine. His sons went to Maine.
Yeah.
Again,
He might be on the 60-year mark.
yeah. I mean, he coached with Coach Abbott. He was one of the first Black men to ever be associated with the University of Maine. And like I said, I still talk. Again, Tim helped me and Duane down in Portland with Chevrolet and coaching and Pittsfield. And like I said, it's a lot of stuff that we never talked about. Tim is the reason why I stayed in Maine, to be honest with you. And Duane knows that. Lance, you might not, but if not for Tim, I wouldn't have, I was gone. when they were doing all the stuff with, these two. I'm like, and Tim was like, Troy, stay, Troy, stay, Troy, stay, Troy, stay. But I mean, like I said, it gives me chills to just think about, not because there was nobody to talk to, Jeff.
Right.
Like I said, it's like getting pulled over in Georgia in the middle of the night, and I was stationed down in Georgia, and that's a whole, like Lance and Duane have stories about pulled over at gunpoint with Marine stickers on my car, buddy, with Marine stickers. And this is in 90. I was down in Georgia in 90 when Tiger Woods couldn't play in Augusta. Tiger Woods couldn't play in Augusta until 91. I left to go on embassy duty in 91. So all this stuff, Jeff, like I said, it just goes full circle, but nothing has really changed, man.
Right.
Nothing has really changed.
How do you think you guys would have handled the way, the social media today? I mean, you can't blink, you can't fart without somebody knowing it.
Oh, I'd have used
How
that
do you
to my
think
advantage.
that would have affected you guys in the 80s if we had the amount of social media we have today?
Lance would have been rich.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, honestly.
And the other thing is I would have never, I would have been so gone after Stevens did, I don't like to say his name, but after the coach did what he did, I'd have been like, I'm out of here. And I'd have went right in that portal and I'd have got on social media and I'd have already had a following. Oh yeah, I would have used that social media to my advantage, you know what I mean? But we didn't have, thank God we didn't have it back then, because I don't know if we would have been able, we were different kind of animals.
Different people, yeah.
These are different kids now.
Different
we
kids
were
now.
different back then.
Yeah.
The kids today, man, they face 2 seconds of adversity and they're out.
Yeah.
I'm transferring. I'm like, and then all these stupid rules they're making now, which is crazy. JUCO doesn't count. You can transfer as much as you want now.
You can
have
play
14
until you
red
like
shirts.
damn near 28.
Yeah, you can.
Yo, imagine
the quarterback at Vanderbilt was 28 years old, and Miami had a guy graduate. He was there 9 years.
Right. He played 9 years.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Speaking of transferring, if transferring was the way it is today in the 80s, would you guys have left?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you don't. For me, I mean, I don't know if I had any place else to go. So this is my thing. When I got, I mean, like I said, when I got banged out for that semester, it was like I just had Troy. Well, Lance was gone, so, and he was out, in Europe trying to do his thing, trying to do all that kind of stuff, and Troy, it was just really me and Troy and Brian O'Leary, and then I get banged out, and I remember I called my mom. I'm like, yeah, out of school for the semester. I go, can I come home next week? She goes, you don't have a home here, brother. So I'm like, okay. And my parents had just, my parents had just, like 2 years prior, just finished getting divorced, right? And my stepdad had moved down to Virginia. She goes, well, you can go and stay with your stepdad. I'm like, I haven't talked to that dude since 1984, but so I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I go down there, and he's like, well, because he was a Navy guy, and he's like, well, you have one option. He goes, you have to go to the military. So I'm like, all right. I go, you know what? I guess I could be a Marine or something. I mean, I wasn't tough enough to be a Marine. Hell, I was just barely tough enough to be a football player. That was all a facade. Yeah. But I go take the ASVAB test at the military place, and I'm sitting around waiting, and the sergeant comes out and he goes, let me talk to you for a minute. I go, yep. He's like, what are you, crazy? He goes, I'm gonna throw this in the garbage like you never came here. He goes, you get your ass back to school and finish school.
Who said that?
It was a sergeant in the military, recruiter.
Really?
Yep. He goes, this is not you. I'm like, okay. So I told my stepdad that, and he's like, well, you can't be here. He gave me $100, right? So I'm like, God, where do I go? So I had nowhere to go. I'm like, well, so I call, my dad's mom was still alive. She had a little bit of Alzheimer's, and I call her, and she lives, where I was born, Kings Rice, Indiana, and I called her on the phone, and then for a half hour on the phone, she remembered who I was. She goes, "Come on home, baby, I got you." So I got to Indiana, and I'm sitting, I'm sitting. I'm like, what do I do? I mean, do I become a worker in the steel industry in Gary? Do I become, so in Michigan City, there's Indiana State Penitentiary. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be a bull. Here, go. I'm going to be a correctional officer, right? So, right, that's what I'm going to do. So I started studying for that test and stuff, and then about mid-March into my suspension, phone call, and it's Eugene calling, right? And he's like, hey, he goes, then I get on the phone. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you ready to come back? I'm like, come back to what? He goes, come back to me. And he goes, I got you back in because he goes, they want to fire me, but I'm bringing you back. And I'm like, he goes, and I go, yeah. He goes, I'll see you in May. Click. That was it. He'll see you in May term. That was it.
And how long were you out for, Duane?
From January till May term. That's all. Just a semester.
Okay. All
Just
right.
a semester. But
what happened? You flunked out?
Yeah, I flunked out, fought out, stupid out.
Suspended suspension.
Oh Lord, I was on double secret.
Double suspension.
What was that chick's name? Wendy Walton
Right.
Tripp. Woo, that pretty white woman did not like me. I mean, I think she did. That's why she got up. That's why she got me up out of there. But I think
Yes,
I was on.
I
think I had like 675,000 community service hours when I came back.
Yeah.
Dude. But anyway, so I get, I got to come back but at that time, I mean, I talked to Troy and that was about it. But and maybe a little bit of Brian, but I mean, everybody else is like, fucking Duane, you're a loser. And I get it, right? I mean, but then I think back, I'm like, you know what? I'm a 20-year-old boy, right? Made a mistake, and then people just didn't see it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is okay. But like I tell people, I go, I forgive everybody. I just don't forget. And so I get back and and I get myself together. But then I became, because I used to be a social butterfly because I love that socialness, right? I mean, I still was but I was just kind of guarded on things. So I just, it's just me and Troy after that, and Brian. That was it. And maybe and little Sean O'Brien and Serge, but
And Dan.
And Dan. So that was about it. And then we, like I said, it was just interesting events.
So you
Right.
wind up graduating though.
I did. 87, December 87, I walked.
Yeah, you said that's a good. I didn't know that. I did not know.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's interesting, bro.
It's crazy, right?
So
And
Duane,
I tell people, I go ahead.
What turned you around? What was there a wake up moment when you said, "Holy shit, I got to get myself together"?
Yeah, it was like, Indiana. It was like, like I said, like it's as much as you think that everybody's on your team,
they're not.
They're not, right? So I had to get on my team and get myself right, because I just, like I said, I was going through the motion. I think the thing that really, really screwed me up is that, my freshman year, I got to play. I played a lot, started some games. Sophomore year, the same thing. Then I tore my knee to pieces, and I just hadn't recovered from that, right? I mean, I hadn't, it was nobody knew the process of how to do a ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus, right? I mean, I was in a cast for 9 months, from my foot to my hip. I was one angry Negro, brother. Right. So it was it was a learning lesson. But I mean, I think if I didn't get hurt, things would have been smooth. But I got hurt, and I had to find some way to get myself back. Because at that point, before I got hurt, I thought I was that dude. I thought I was really good, and I was kind of sweet, right? I mean, but I mean it just, when I hurt myself, it all just came to, and then I think it just came to like a halt. And I think when I got hurt, people thought I was actually like faking.
How do you fake with a cast from your foot to your hip?
I'm just telling you, just the energy I got. Right. I mean, I had to get a new cast every Friday.
Ugh. Yeah.
Right. And it just, and there's no one. I mean, and I had nobody to talk to. If I had a coach like me, been fine. But I had no one really to talk to. But Troy, I mean, you know, Troy's doing this thing. I mean, we were kids. I had no adult to talk to.
That's true.
Right. And my boy Max Lowe left to go to Princeton. I mean, he went to Ohio University. Everybody left. So I had nobody.
He went with Skladany, right?
Yeah, he went to Skladany. They went to Ohio University.
But none of them really knew how to handle
right.
Just the psychological aspects of helping.
Right.
They kind of just brought you up there, and that was it.
Well, they weren't. I don't think this is no excuse for those guys, but they weren't trained the way the guys are today.
Exactly.
No,
that's a good excuse. That's a legit excuse.
Yeah.
Right. They had
Duane. I would imagine Duane as a college coach for a long time. They must have all kinds of stuff that you guys got to go through and deal with and be certified.
Oh yeah, but then if you can't do it, we have psychiatrists and all kinds of stuff.
It's beautiful how they do the athletes.
We have all that stuff, but I had nobody to vent to and talk to. So, I mean, you could talk to your friends but they don't know, right? I didn't have that, and I wasn't savvy enough to go ask for help, right? I mean, I'm still that way now. I mean, right? I just had 23 centimeters of tumor taken out of my neck and throat, right? And had my hips replaced. It took me 13 years to get in my mind that if I don't do it, I won't be here.
Yeah.
Right. And they thought when they were going to do it that I wouldn't make it. Right. So it took me that long. I mean, and I'm an adult. I'm a grown up now.
Yeah. But Duane, you know, if we go back, 40 years ago when we were kids, part of it also was you were afraid to say anything for fear of what they might think. Like if you're all screwed up in the head, you tell Rogerson, hey, I'm mentally screwed up. He'd be like, go sit your ass over there.
Damn it, you think I'm not screwed up, you son of a bitch.
but they would think you're not strong enough to play. Go sit over there.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. You know? Oh, that's what. That's basically that was some of it too, right? I mean, I can remember trying to get ready for spring ball. That same thing, right? I had a little meniscus surgery. I had to wait for the ACL thing, but I couldn't really bend my knee, so I jumped down the stairs at Oak to crack that calcium deposit so I could bend my knee back and forth, so I could practice in the spring.
Jeff, you have no idea what we would have to go through as far as, I'm not telling them because if you're hurt, you're not going to play.
Never play.
I mean, there was times where Duane could barely walk. There was, we watched our buddy Susie get his knee bent backwards, move it up 10 yards. So I wasn't telling nobody nothing,
man.
As far as, because again, whether it was your jock was too small, your shoes were a size and a half too small, or you had to walk upstairs to go to practice. I wasn't saying nothing, because again, that mentality of if you're hurt, you can't play. All right. But we were hurt. And like I said, I had a problem with the whole thing because I got tired of the coaches calling my roommate fat. And he thought your roommate is why Toy? I got run because of Duane. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's your roommate. I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, it made animosity to me because Duane, I still wear Public Enemy stuff. I'm still fight the power, but like I said, I think we heard it best, Duane, is I forgot who said it. When it's first in a mile and a half, put me in the game, coach. We're running mile and a half. Duane's damn near having cardiac arrest. It's 102 degrees, Jeff. We out there running a mile and a half. They have a weather warning in Bangor, a heat index. People are dropping like flies.
Max Lowe told me, he was pulling me to the side. He goes, Duane, don't worry. He goes, when it's third in a mile and a half, I'll take you out.
I'll pull you out again. Right.
Yeah. Right. And, but what if you could go back in time, right? Would you do anything different up there? Would you change anything?
No,
I would have stayed in Hannibal. We would have stayed in Hannibal
and
Hamlin.
Hannibal Hamlin, absolutely.
That was the
Not
spot.
me.
We should have never left.
Yep.
I wouldn't change not one thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it either.
Not
Because
one
It
thing.
it
formed
may
my
be who I
life,
am.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe who
Everything
I
has
am.
made me the
But
man I
think
am
about what
today.
you guys are saying, which is so cool to hear. I mean, you went through so much shit, and you could always go back and say, screw him, I'd get rid of him, I'd change that, I'd blow that up, but you guys are saying, nope, I would do
Oh.
it again.
Do it
Yep.
again.
The
I
experience.
live for the Bears Den.
That was Thursday night.
Thursday night,
Thursday
brother. To the den,
Hey,
to the den, to the den.
I say
I
this.
love it.
I say this, that I would not be the person that I am today if it wasn't for all the things that I went through, because all those things have brought me to where I am as a person today.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything was meant for a reason.
Right.
I had to be cut down a little bit to let me know that you ain't whatever you think you are. You have to humble yourself, but at the same time, you learn how to get past it. You adapt.
Yeah.
Those are invaluable lessons. You know what I'm saying? Invaluable lessons on how to maneuver your way in life. When things happen,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? You go around them, you go through them, but you don't let nobody or nothing stop you where you're trying to go.
I feel the same way.
That's
Wouldn't
right.
I do it? I mean, it just, if you needed that, right?
Mhm.
You need to go to them. You need to go to the hot fire.
That's
Right. Life is not, life. I tell my kids all the time that I coach, I'm like, you know what? Life is like it's not a straight line. It's a circling toilet bowl of shit. You just keep floating. You just keep, you flush it, it still comes up. Some floaties still come around. You flush it, still the same. There's still some shit in there. Can you fight through it? Right. I mean, that's just, and I think, if I didn't go to Maine, obviously we wouldn't have this conversation, right? But I mean, I went there. It was meant for me to go there. For some reason, I was supposed to go there and meet Lance and Troy, meet everybody, everybody, right? Because everybody that I was in touch with, good or bad, made me what I am today. And personally, I think I'm a pretty good person, and it worked out for me.
And can I add that you are probably the longest standing coach,
longest tenured coach in the Ivy League.
Ivy League. We need to talk about that.
Black coach.
Black coach. Yeah. But the accomplishments. What happened to you all led you to being that at one of the famous Ivy League schools, which is Dartmouth. You know what I mean? That should be said, because people that are watching this hear what we went through, but what did we come out the other side of? What you know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing, man. These are all the things we went through, again, was all to carry us to where we are today, which is outstanding, man.
Hey, Duane, speaking of that, as a coach,
Mhm.
with all the crap you went through as a player, how did that make you a better coach now? Because now you look back and you say, holy shit, this is what I went through. This is how the coaches treated me. Well, how do you take that experience and turn it into how you coach your players?
I am not judgmental, right? I take everyone at face value. I tell everyone, I go, to play for me, you don't have to be the best player, but you have to listen, and we all have our time. We all learn different and those kind of things. And for me, being a coach, and I've been, fairly successful, is that I don't, you can't treat everybody the same. It's not a cookie cutter model. Everybody's different. You can yell at some people, you can't yell at others. You got to find that happy medium. But as I told everyone I've ever coached, and I've been a college coach since 1991, it's not about
like 30.
It's not about being a great football player. It's about finishing what you started, because football got you into the school you're in. So let's try to get the school squared away, because I learned that when school and football's going well, everything goes well. When those things get out of kilt, when those things get out of whack, your shit's out of whack, right? So, and I just happen to be at high academic places for some reason, I don't know. And it's, I tell them, I go, it's not the football. I go, football got you here. And if you become a really good football player, that's great. I go, but the thing that happens here is that you're at one of the greatest academic places, and you get to become whatever you want to be, and it takes time, right? I go, and I don't force, I go, so, I was forced to play as a freshman, right? And I tell my kids, I go, I will never put you in that situation because you're a baby. You're 17, 18 playing against guys that are 21, 20. I mean,
29.
And now 29. So you don't need to, you need to find your way in the world, right? So get your feet going the right direction. Then we start to play football, right? But I just, like I said, I still coach the same. I don't, I don't talk X and O. I don't talk coach speak. I don't say, he's in 3x1. I don't speak like that. I speak like the kids want to be heard, right? And I tell them, I go, I speak to you like you hear that shit on the streets now. I go, now I talk to you like you're a person. And what I say to you, you can't take personal. And I think some of the stuff at Maine, even those guys were good guys, they were taking personal things on people, right? And we always go back to Lance because I think Lance is probably, one of the best running backs I've ever seen and been around, right? And just watching him when I was a freshman, and when he was a sophomore, he was so good, but for some reason he wasn't playing, and I couldn't understand. I just couldn't understand it. But as I became a coach, I understood because Lance was his own person, right? He wasn't like those other guys. Him and Garsh, they were different. They were different people, right? And they were really good, but they weren't what they really wanted, right? I mean, but they, because Lance had that flash and dash, brother. He's gonna do you in and do work, and that's not what they want. They wanted the basic same shit. We all had to wear the same shit, look the same, and but it wasn't like that, and he wasn't like that.
Lance's running style used to remind me of Billy Sims.
Yeah, when Lance was a senior, we don't beat Delaware without Lance.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, we might not beat anybody without Lance.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm just saying. But getting back to my coaching thing, is just that you're going to find your way, and I don't have to get in your way. And I tell my guys too, and they laugh. I'm like, look, I go, if you're a really good player, I'm the greatest coach there's ever been. I go, if you're really bad, I just find another guy who's going to be better than you, and they say, damn, he's a really good coach. Look at him coach him up. Right? That's how that shit works. I mean, it's easy. I mean, I tell people, I go, if I was making money, I'd be stealing. Because I go, and people talk about, well, I really don't, like I said, Lance said, I've been in all these years, and I have, but I don't talk about myself because when you look like me and you say you're the fucking man, people say you're arrogant. But if I looked another way, they'd be like, oh man, he coached with such passion and heart, and gives.
You'd have a head coaching job somewhere.
He gives his best effort. He's just great. He's just right. I mean, it's just because it's different. It's different for us. It's just different.
And like Duane, I said, you still think today it's still the same way?
Oh
same bullshit?
Shit, yeah.
Really?
Oh, you kidding me? It hasn't changed. Like, so we're gonna watch this. Yeah. I hate to break people. I hate to break people's hearts. As I tell people, I go, you know what? Just look what the difference between the world in the 70s or 60s and the world now is that people don't wear hoods and carry ropes around and lynch you. They look like everyday people, right? I mean, it's just what it is. I go there. Me and Troy talk about this all the time, and I make him mad. I just do it because I could get him mad. But there's 8,000. There's probably 8,000 college football coaches in all divisions. There's only about 1,720 black coaches, brother.
And how many head coaches, Duane?
There might be 20.
Cocksucker. Ooh, sorry.
It might be.
Sorry.
it's just what it is. It's just the landscape of what America is. Right. And I tell people, I go, look where you live. I live in New England. Right.
But Jeff, that's true in the military too.
What it is. It's just what it is.
250 years, the Marine Corps has only had one black commandant, and he just came in last year.
And it's the same. It's the same, but but you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And and I blame. So when I first, in the 90s, when I first got in really coaching, because first I was a director of football operations and recruiting coordinator when I was at Penn. Right. So I was an administrator then. So back then it was like, Tyrone Willingham, Tony Samuels, the older Norvell, and a couple other guys, Herm Edwards, those guys, they were up and coming black coaches, right? They were head coaches. But those guys never hired anyone black to be their assistants or never made them a coordinator. And I would, I went to a 2-week seminar in '99 because I was like one of the top minority coaches in America to be a head coach in Division I football, right? That's before I opened my mouth, right? So we get to this thing in Orlando, and for 2 weeks I was held hostage, and they were trying to show me how to be a head coach. So I had to go, I had to learn how to stand, how to speak, how to talk to the camera, how to be, I don't know who to be like, but I had to go through these things. I kept asking, so I asked them one day, so, I'm doing all these things that I go, but what class did Lou Holtz take? They're like, what do you mean? I go, what class he take to become a head coach? I go, he's been a head coach in college, pros, FBS, FCS. I go, he's done a nice job. I go, now the class, whatever he took, that's what I want to take. And I go, not everybody wants to be a head coach. I don't want to be a head coach Division I. It'd be nice, but I want to be a head coach Division III because the greatest place I ever coached was Colby College because my mentor, Dick Whitmore, showed me what it was like to be a head coach. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I want to be. I always thought I'd be the head coach at Colby. I came in second for that job. I'm still mad. But
yeah, I'm mad for you. I'm mad for you.
But I never wanted to be a big-time head coach. But I just wanted to know how you're going to help me get through all this stuff. Because this is the thing. If you don't have any power or people with power to get you where you need to get to, you're not getting anything. Right. And I thought getting a Colby job, I had Dick Whitmore, Swisher Mitchell, John Winkin, right? The CFO of Apple, my women's professional football team, all writing me things to get that job, and I still didn't get it. Right? And it was for a reason, obviously. But I mean, it just, and after that, I was like, and I just stopped chasing. Right? And I stopped chasing even before that because I thought, once I'm in the Ivy League, I'm like, what better place to be than where you do your best work? Why would I be greedy? So I've been blessed to be in that league since 1995. Even though I took a 2-year sabbatical because we got fired at Yale and I didn't get the Colby job. So I wasn't even going to come back. But then that man, Eugene Putty Tebus, intervenes again and he brings me back, even though I told him no about 5 times before I finally said yes. And the only reason I came back is because there were 6 guys on the D-line that played that year who I recruited at Yale. And they ended up going to Dartmouth, and they said, Coach, if you come here, we're going to win. And ever since I've been at Dartmouth, since 2014, we're 78-22, and we've won 6 Ivy League championships.
That's unbelievable.
Right? Yeah, but I'm just saying, but if they didn't say that we were going to win, I probably wouldn't have came back. And I tell people all the time, I don't know if it's because me we're winning, but I'm in that fucking room. So it's got to be something, right?
Yeah.
And I go, and it's just, like I said, and as I get older, I talk about myself because I'm a 60-year-old black man, right?
Still here.
Yes, and I'm still around. So, right, I mean, I had these scares last year. I'm like, I hate to keep swearing on your podcast, Jeff.
That's all right. Hey, this is open forum, man.
I got no fucks, brother. None. Zero. You know what I mean? Because I've been through the shit. And when I go through some more, probably. And and like I said, now I got 620 more days until I retire. Right?
Who's counting anyway?
Not that I'm counting.
624 days and 38 minutes.
21 days, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
0.58. But I mean, I've been so blessed to be in this league and it's crazy. And I still have the same best friend since 1983 and 82. I still have the same people. That is what is crazy.
That's life. Me. That's what life's all about.
Oh yeah. And it's just, but getting back to this whole being in the league, I am probably the longest Black tenured coach in Ivy League history.
You are.
Yeah, I'm up there.
Nah, name another one. Yeah. Jeff, I do more research on Duane than Duane has any idea, because he says
you know more about him than he knows about him.
Oh my God.
But like I said, he causes me PTSD because he will not say anything, and it makes me
not that
furious.
Important. Not important.
Yes, it is.
Not that important.
All right.
And then, like I said, I'm going to say the only reason I talk to Troy twice a week because I just remember back in college, man, I was the man, brother.
we're gonna make a movie about you.
I was a killer.
Hey, as long as he lets me play me in the movie, I'm good.
We have the actor on the screen.
Absolutely.
I might get asked before my documentary.
Yeah, but how about we do this? How about we do this? We make a movie and Lance can be you. Lance will play you.
Yes.
I'm not that handsome.
He'd have to gain a lot of weight though, because he's pretty now. He's pretty.
None of us will ever be as good looking as Lance.
None.
No such person.
There's no way.
The only reason why is because I'm in the business. So a part of the business is staying in shape and staying desirable. So that's a part of your job.
Yeah.
I'm in shape. I'm in desirable. But trust me, like I said, because of you two, between the ab fusion and my mental health, I'm good. Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Duane and Lance. And I want that to be stressed, and I want that to be known.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's go deep on that.
It'll be 30 years on the 28th of April that I had lupus. And I am 4 months post my last chemotherapy. Lance would always say, all right, Troy, if your legs don't work, your abs got to be strong to do what you do. Duane would be like, I don't give a shit. You're still you. Duane would come down and visit. Like I said, I talk to Duane twice a week. Lance and I have just recently rekindled our relationship. But like I said, they am I and I am them. And it gets me out. I tell Duane this all the time, and Lance, this might be the first time you hear this. Y'all give me reason and purpose, because there's a lot of times where I don't want. Lupus is bad. Lupus is hard. It's a disease that tells you can't. Every day, Duane says I can't. All the time, Lance says I can't. I'm just here to prove y'all to show everybody I can. Because even, like I said, backstory, I got in trouble in Maine and got kicked out of Pittsfield, and I was coaching at MCI. Had no choices, but went to the Marines because Duane's, he's like, what are you going to do? We got to do something. And again, 24 years old, went in the Marine Corps. Oh, you're supposed to be an officer's candidate. You can't be. What do you mean I can't be? Your GPA isn't high enough to be a Marine officer. Okay, long story short, as a Lance Corporal, I'm training officers in Quantico right before I go to become an embassy guard. of all the assignments that you can get in the Marine Corps, there's eighth and I, there's the funeral detail, and which is, and then there's embassy duty, top secret clearance and all that, but I'm not smart enough to be an officer. So every time I hear that thing, you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall.
As grotesque as it may be.
But I'm not,
love
like I
that.
said, I'm not smart enough to lead, but I'm bad enough to be on that wall.
Yep.
That's Lance and Duane. We wore pretty dress blues every day. You still can't tell me nothing. The best uniform in the world is Marine and dress blues. I did that because of these two men. Now 30 years later, lupus is one of the most deadly. It's a 1 in every 100,000 cases. All right, I got it. Beat it. Still here 30 years later. 9 months ago, I got stage 3.5 lymphoma. All right, here we are now. So again, it's not what we can't do, Jeff. It's what we do when we're told we can't.
Troy, I'm going to curse like Duane. How the fuck did you handle all that mentally?
Duane,
I told him to stop being
seriously,
a bitch.
that's his exact words. He says, I don't give a fuck if you cry, shit, or piss. Stop being a bitch.
Being a bitch.
All right? Because it's just like he says, life is going to do the same thing.
Thank you.
Again, I had no choice. You either shit or get off the pot. When they said I would never walk again, fuck you.
Yep.
Okay. Like I said, Lance would send me ab exercises and all that stuff.
So when I go see Troy, I would park far away from where we were going and make him walk.
Absolutely. He says, I don't care how you walk, just get your ass up out of that chair. Right. Now that being, like I said, 30 years ago, at 60, with bad knees, I have to accept that I might need the chair more because, again, I'm 30 years older. But as Lance says, and as the Marine Corps has taught me, Jeff, we adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. All right. So that's all I do.
Yeah, he's.
Oh, I saw that picture you just posted. Was that yesterday or day before?
Yes.
Every day, basically.
Yep. I do CrossFit, again, 6 days a week. But again, talking to Lance.
I'm talking about the pretty lady you posted.
Oh, that's my wife.
That's
my wife. That's my wife. Yep. And she, Lord. Hey, she caught it. I mean, in a year, we've had to deal with my cancer. We've had to deal with my lupus. We've had to deal with the move. We've had to deal with a lot of stuff, man. But again, you're only as good as your partners, and Duane, I say this to him all the time. I have a small simplified circle. Simplify means always faithful. Duane has cursed me out. Duane has been mad at me. Lance has cursed me out. Lance has been mad at me. But at the end of the day, if my 911 call would be either one of them two.
I only stick around with Troy because he's got all of that gear. And I tell him he just needs to sign over. I just make sure he's still around so he can sign them things over so I can get them guns and everything.
He only loves me because I can shoot, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean,
it's been something, man. I mean, like I said, Troy is my guy. I mean, that is I can remember he called me the day when he tried to get out of bed and he rolled over and fell because he couldn't walk. And I'm like, God, what do I do? And I could say, hey, I'm so sorry for you. But I'm like, I can't say that because then he won't want to do anything. So I'm like, dude, get the fuck it. Crawl. I don't know what to tell you. Get stronger and walk on your hands, right? So he went from, we couldn't bench in college, but like 215, all of a sudden he's benching 380, right? And he had no legs. So it kind of worked out for him. But I mean, it's just, and like I said, Troy has, lupus, and he has, what's the monovictilitis, Troy? What's that other one?
Transverse myelitis.
Yeah.
It's the inflammation of my spinal cord.
Yeah.
Rheumatoid arthritis. Like I
Right.
said, I need a knee replacement. All the stuff Duane has, I have. Hips, knees, elbows, and this and that. But it's not going to stop. Like I said, Lance sends me stretches. Lance sends me affirmations. Lance says, again, I'm not going to have abs like him, but if I can move, you know, again, if I can get Duane to walk with me, all right, we're moving, you know. So, like I said, we all have something, Jeff.
Yeah.
What we don't have is excuses. And that's the one thing I've learned from my brothers. There is no excuse. I just got to find a way to do it. You know, so
Right.
that again, if any time I get to testify about Lance and Duane, I'm gonna tell the world about it.
And like I said, with Troy, Troy has all these things, and he's so strong, and right, and I don't really share my emotion. I mean, I make him, but I don't ever share mine. But I was, for the last 12, I was going through some things, and I just thought it would just, you just rub dirt on it, it goes away, right? And it just kept getting worse and worse, and finally I had to take a stand, either live or die, right? And then that, and I got to the point where they thought when they cut my throat open to take this stuff out of there that they're gonna have to cut my chin and cut my spine and cut my clavicle, because they thought it was all hanging on. But for some reason, that big clump of tumor was just sitting in the back of my throat, right? For some reason, wasn't connected to anything. I mean, it took them. I mean, I was out for 8.5 hours, right? That's not good. They thought by the time they woke me up that I'd be, brain dead or something, but it just wasn't my time, right? And it just, like I said, for some reason, it just worked out. I mean, I just don't know how. Like I said, for Troy, it's just worked out. I mean, but he's lost. I mean, like Troy tells me all the time, he goes, "You're the fattest, healthiest man I know."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you guys think, I mean, Lance, you survived, years ago, plane crashes, drowning, train, Duane, you got the tumors, Troy, the lupus, the paralysis. You guys have fucking dealt with so much shit. How the hell do you keep moving? Like, what's your inner gut? What can you tell people about that? Doesn't matter what you're faced with, just keep moving.
Keep moving.
If we stop, Jeff, we die. I mean, like I said, without motion, there's no life. But what we go through in life prepares us for life. What we experienced in Maine will always kick me in the ass and get me up in the morning. So we just take it, like I said, and you just make it work for you. Duane's gumbo tastes different than mine. Lance's is different. Yours is probably doesn't have as much seasoning in it as ours, but that's all right.
Easy now. You guys have no idea what's going on over here.
you might put raisins in your potato salad, but it don't matter. It don't matter. You got.
I also think that we are a unique man, and I think that's we all share the same thing with athletes.
Yeah.
And athletes have a resilience. There's a stick-to-itiveness. There's an understanding that in order to get to where you have to go, especially playing Division I ball, there's an amount of sacrificing things that you have to do. So when obstacles and things come in your way, we're used to going around them, going through them. We're used to adjusting. So it's a microcosm of life. So when stuff comes up, the fighter in us, allows us to be able to do whatever it takes to move forward. And, you watch Troy, thank God to social media, that, Troy sends me things and I have to come back. Yo, man, you are just amazing. You know, what are you doing? You crawling up a rope, up and down a rope, you know what I mean, with your legs and you doing it on a daily basis. And if you could do that, bro, then I could do what I do.
I need to
You
do.
know what I'm saying? So it truly does, you know, he said I've inspired him, but I often think how, because as I watch him, I get inspired. You know what I mean? And you know, the sky is the limit. I am in full belief that life has just started for me. You know, I got so much to accomplish. You know, I'm up at 3, 4 o'clock every morning. But when you watch that, you say that's the least I could do. You know, that's the least I could do. So you know, I'm honored to hear how Duane and I have helped him. I did not
Incredible.
know this,
Right. But it's the other way around.
but it's the other way around. Because
Incredible.
as you watch him, you know, and he continue. We're not talking about he takes off.
No,
He don't never take. I don't. At least I don't think so.
got no days off.
There's no
None.
There's no days off.
I always tell him to take a day off. He won't do it.
Yeah, there's no days off.
But tell him what I tell you, Duane. I'll rest when I'm dead.
That's
And
what
you
it
know,
is.
That's
Troy,
my motto. That's
Troy,
my
it's
motto.
funny you say. I always say, hey, plenty of time to sleep when you're dead.
Right.
That's right. That's
Well, I
my
rest
motto.
on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm not really sure.
I
what y'all
know,
doing.
No,
but
I don't even rest on Saturday. and Sunday.
You know, I don't hit the gym on Saturday and Sunday, but man, I'm always on the move doing something.
Yeah.
There's no sitting down.
But Jeff, that's
Time.
why I say you guys give me reason and purpose, because again, if you guys are, I have to find a way too, because again, and with this advent of social media, with this thing, if people see me and Duane and Lance talking to you, if we generate more conversation with
Oh, yeah.
people, then we're doing our purpose.
That's
You
right.
know, because like I said, you asked us what we went through.
Yeah.
I don't want some young man or some young woman
Go
to
what
go
we
through
went
what
through.
we went through in Maine. I
Yeah.
want them to go through
Wasn't that
this.
bad? Yeah.
I want them to go through this. I
They ain't
want them
about
to
that
see
smoke.
how we've evolved. I want them to see that there is nothing that you can't come through if
That's
you
right.
have just three. Me, Lance, and Duane. All right, this is what we've done with three. Imagine what we could do with 3,000.
Yeah.
3,000
Well,
of our voices.
what about this? I mean, Duane, you don't live that far away from Maine, this campus. Have
No,
you
I,
guys
well,
thought
I
about?
live 7 hours. Well, I live an hour. Well, where I am now at Dartmouth, I live 7 hours away. Where I live in
7 hours?
Oh yeah, and then Bar Harbor is an hour ride.
Hour and a half, right?
But
Yeah,
but have you guys thought about going back to Orono and
We will
talking
get
to?
together this summer. That I mean, like I said,
I said I wasn't going back. I said I wasn't going back.
But Lance, listen, man. What
nobody
about?
wants us back,
Yes,
brother.
I'm telling you. What about you guys going back and talking to the team? Talking to
Nobody.
I mean, the team's 80% black,
I know.
right?
We're not relevant.
Now,
Really
now
not relevant.
I say that no, Jeff. Now this is something I've already started doing. You know, and we had talked about it, but I actually have put my money where my mouth is. I have already put together a webinar seminar on the power of reinvention. I
been
also
on it.
did my first webinar on affirmations. So
Yep.
these are all things I'm working on so that I can bring it to the masses. So I would definitely go back up, you know, because that is my purpose and that's been my drive, and everything has led me to this point. My first affirmation webinar was last Monday.
Yep.
8 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. Troy, you was there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was there. That's right. And I'll do it again in a couple weeks. And then I'm working on. I have a coach right now that's coaching me through the webinar for the power of reinvention. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to talk to the college kids, Division I kids. I'll also be talking to different organizations on how you find your true happiness is in finding or enhancing the gifts that God gave you. That's very important, and fulfilling all the things that you have inside of you. That's where you get your true joy from. You know, being the best that you could possibly be. And when you reinvent yourself, you could do it now at whatever age there is. You know, and my thing is time is the enemy. Time is the enemy
Absolutely.
of time, because there's more time behind us
In
than
front.
is in front of us. So
Yep.
I don't waste my time. I don't waste my time with people that are undeserving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get up and I utilize my time to the fullest. Every morning I'm up doing affirmations. Every morning I listen to positive videos for the first 45 minutes. Then I go in the mirror, I do my affirmations, and I go about my day. And my purpose is to train and teach others. That's where your joy is.
And again, Jeff Lance is being humble, because last Monday he announced to me and some other brothers that were on the webinar, he taught his first
Oh, yes, yes.
dance class. Again, I do research on my
I saw
brothers
that.
because I
I
got a
saw
lot
that.
of time to by myself.
Yeah.
He taught his first dance class at Adelphi last
Yeah.
Monday.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. My technique, I have a technique I created. It's called a T3 technique, which is the Theobald tap technique. And I've become a master tap dancer, but I've taught many great, I would say great, but very good tap dancers, went on to do Broadway and stuff like that. So to be able to teach that technique at a college,
Your own technique, your
my
own. I
own
mean,
technique,
own it. There you go.
yeah,
Own it.
that was uh like a heck of an accomplishment for me. And I just did it
Absolutely.
last week. We had this webinar in the morning. I finished the webinar and then I had to be there at 9:30.
9:30.
Yep. Yep.
So guys, we've been on here for a while, which these stories are awesome, and I'm sitting back here in awe of you guys. Where do you guys go from here? What's next?
I would say if let's figure out a way to put this together as a format to help, because my purpose in life, as I'm sure at least Troy, Duane has got to figure it out since he's getting ready to retire. And
He needs something else to do when he retires.
right, what you know what I mean? But I think as I'm watching and listening to this is a platform that can teach others. You know what I mean? That's in alignment with my purpose anyway. So I think it's a very interesting dynamic to hear what happened. Three different, actually four players that played together had some things happen to them. Some kicked off the team. You know what I mean? And to watch what they did with that. You know what I mean? How they were able to maneuver in the universe, what the universe did for them because they were good dudes, brought them back. And from that, they were able to do this. And from this, they were able to do that. And now here they are today at this point in life, which helps people to show college athletes that no matter what you're going through, it's all for a purpose. You know what I mean? That's just my thought. That is in alignment with what I'm supposed to do in my life anyway. So
I say we take it on the road. Make it, try to, again, you guys are better at social media than I am, but if I can use you guys' knowledge as a vessel to touch somebody else or to make somebody else's experience better, then like Lance says, that's my purpose. I say to Duane all the time, this is my cross to bear. And if it makes somebody else's cross lighter, then there we go. Because like Duane says about shit, it's the same thing about pain. Pain has a purpose, and if my purpose is to make somebody else's life less painful, so be it. Bring it on. That's the one thing I can say about my two brothers on this podcast with me. Resiliency. We have been through it. and it's
And
like the
also,
Rocky movie.
and
You
also
get
resiliency and relentlessness.
right,
That's the word I like to use, relentless.
right. And I think, with at least with me and Duane, I often think about that Delaware game. Rich Gannon is talking shit. Lance is covered in mud. It's 2 degrees. And then, Rich Gannon is like, y'all can't touch me. Y'all can't touch me. You can't do this. You can't do that. And next thing you know, Lance is busting a touchdown through the mud. And I think, Duane, didn't we have a goal line stand or something
we
against
did.
them? And we
Yep.
just stopped them.
Stopped them.
And that time Delaware's #1 in the country with a quarterback that's damn near in the Hall of Fame, and we beat him. So
They had in their locker room, they had that board up because they had what playoff game they're going to play in.
right, we beat them, and they didn't make it. A year later, we win the Yankee Conference Championship down in Portland. So again. But one thing I wanted to say, Jeff, is, yes, you are interviewing us three, but you are just as much as a part of us as we are you, because again, you are a part of our experience. And I'm grateful for it.
And just for me, it's just, I tell everybody, if you went to the University of Maine like I did, then you understand what struggle, hardship, making a comeback, stick-to-itiveness, all that. Because that's what I learned in Maine. Because I could have easily just walked away, right? I could have probably went home to Poughkeepsie and went to Marist, right? But for some reason, I went back, right? And it worked for me. And and we talk about, I think we're talking about having a podcast, which would be cool. I mean, I'm all in, but the thing about me is that I want people to know the story because, people always say, well, you got to go through the fire to beat a strong hammer. Why? Why? Right? Why do you want to be in so much pain and anguish to learn? Yeah. It's easier to learn when you're not beat up.
Yeah, everything doesn't have to be so hard.
No, but that's what people think it has to be hard. I mean, for us, it was hard, but at the same time, it was what was supposed to be done, right? Which it was that. I mean, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, because all the things, like I said, all the things that I did when I was at school and up to now, I mean, I made a zillion mistakes. Hopefully, I got a couple zillion more to make, and it's just that. But I never would have learned anything about myself, how to get through that. And Orono taught me all those things. And I tell everybody, you know what? I'm a black bear to the bone. That's just how it is. Right. And I go, and you talk about us going back and talking at school. I really don't think the school gives 2 shits about us. Which is fine.
Well,
I really, which is fine.
Well,
I mean,
but Duane, hold on a second.
I coached
speak
there.
for yourself.
knows.
I'm the best thing that ever came out of that goddamn school. They just don't know it yet. That's all.
I coached there. Nobody, right? I coached.
But Duane,
yeah.
Duane, think about it for a second. You might you might be right. I don't think the school gives a shit about anybody.
Well, that's a good point.
But what you guys care about are the men that are up there right now trying to make a life for themselves. And some of them need direction, man. Some of them need to talk to guys like you. Some of them need a role model like you. And they just they might not even know it yet. Or if they want one, they don't know where to find one because they might not have enough up there.
But it's hard today, I think, for kids to, because it's the Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat world, right?
There is no instant gratification in this, Jeff. I mean, like I said, Duane's been doing this 32 years. Lance has been dancing ever since he left Orono. And like I said, on April 28th, I will be sick officially half of my life. So we're not Jiffy Pop. This is a long process of shit. you know, but unless you go through shit, unless you never will be shit. And that's why I like what what he said earlier. He literally, like I said, he set the table. Duane set the table. And see, like I said, if we have table setters like that, here's the byproduct of it. You know, me, I'm alive because like I said, blessing God, you know, Duane isn't as spiritual as I am, and Lance is somewhere in the middle, but I am a firm believer of we are what we go through.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't tell Lance shit, you can't tell Duane shit, you can't tell me shit.
No,
You
you
know,
can tell me. I listen. I definitely learned to listen, and I'll read and I'll learn from the people before me. Now, I will
right.
definitely.
But what I'm saying, Lance, is it's not that I live in blessed defiance. I learned that from you. Like I said, I still don't wear socks. You know what I'm saying? I got arthritis in my feet and all that. But again, it's like I said, tell me I can't, I show you I will.
Right.
You know, like I said, for all the shit you had to put up with, for all the stuff, Duane, and I know he's mad. I know because it makes me mad that he's not a head coach. I cried when he didn't get that Kobe thing, and he lost it to somebody that coached us. I'm not going to mention no names, but everybody knows who. All right. But again, politics ain't nothing but politics, you know, and I'm not going to be a part of it. That's why I'm going to shout my brothers out, right, wrong, or indifferent.
All right.
Whew.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think we can wrap it up on that one. But
I'll be
Troy,
the
man,
bad guy. Wouldn't be the
no,
first time, and it won't be the last time.
no, but that's not a bad guy. You know, you know, I'll tell you one thing, guys. For me, I'm just gonna say it the way it is. I'm like an outsider looking in. You know what I mean? I did not experience what you guys experienced up there. I had my own bullshit, my own hangups, my own hardships, but nothing like what you guys had to deal with. You know, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that one is you're willing to share it, especially here. But two, you know, like when I talked to Lance last time, 40 years has gone by.
Yeah.
Those
40,
numbers.
not
40.
4, 40. And this is stuff, like you said, a lot of shit hasn't changed,
Yeah.
but some of it has,
It has.
you know? And the reason why some of it has is because of guys like you know, and the stick to itiveness, the never giving up, never quitting, gonna keep pushing. It's because you guys have continued to grow and push and fight, and that's why all these younger kids that are playing right now, they need to see what their future could be
That's right.
if they see what you guys have done, and
I
that's what
love
this
that,
is all
man.
about.
I just got goosebumps off that, bro.
That's a good one. That boy Dirk.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
that's what this is all about, man.
Yeah.
I'm
And
in, bro.
so
And
we got to figure
I'm
out
in.
we got to figure out a next step on something. But
yeah.
you know,
I'm in.
I think you guys can impact so many lives, and you just don't even know it. And I mean, you know,
I tell you this, one of the things I'm learning is if you want to do webinars and seminars, tell stories.
yeah,
Yeah.
Don't talk at them. Tell
right,
stories. These are
Tell
great
story.
stories.
yeah,
They say tell a connection story first, then tell a transformative story, and then
yep,
you tell a teaching story.
yep,
Those are the things that will keep them engaged and keep them wanting to come back and learn. And I'm
yeah,
learning that right now. So once I finish, then I can be able to, tell us more
Yeah.
of, how to format it because it's about telling these stories, not about teaching, but telling
right.
these life stories that we've been through. And,
It's
and
yeah, it's about sharing.
right,
You
right,
know, you share, people listen. You tell,
exactly.
people tune out.
Right.
Right. It's not about teaching and not it's about sharing
Sharing,
stories and how those stories can connect to you.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So,
Well, I'm in.
All right. Well,
And
let's figure it out, man. And
and the first stop would be Maine.
I'm
Woo!
gonna get.
I would come
I'm
back.
gonna call. Listen, I'm gonna get on. I don't. You guys know DeVito up there. He was on the show. I know him. I'm getting to know him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat his door down. You know, if you guys are open to going up there, I'll get on a freaking plane and get up there and let's do something. Let's impact
All right.
somebody.
All right.
We got a place to stay. You can play at my place.
That's right. That's right.
I'm definitely going. I'm even thinking about going. Well, Duane's spring game. I'm definitely going, and I'll be up in Bar Harbor this summer. So
Well, Bar Harbor, how far is that from Orono?
Hour,
hour and a half.
That's
Hour.
it.
hour and a half. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. That's close.
All right, guys. I got my wife that's huffing and puffing.
All right, guys.
Hey,
Listen,
My
absolutely.
man, all right, lunch.
For
guys.
sure, I'm definitely. I think that's a great idea, man. And,
I'm in.
You got it, guys. I'll put
I
it
wasn't
together.
going back up to Maine,
Let's.
but I'm going back up to Maine with the same intention as reason why I wanted to go up to Maine in the first place.
First place.
To teach.
There you
do
go.
it.
I said that the next time I would go up there, they'd have to hire me to fucking come up there and talk about it. But they're not hiring, but I still talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Talk
we're
about
good.
the experience. Share the experience.
All
We'll,
right,
we'll
guys.
find a way.
Guys, man, thanks for being on here. This
Yes,
is
sir.
awesome. Let's
Thanks,
make it
Jeffrey.
happen. And
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
you
Yes,
got it.
thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
I'm in.
Let's catch up soon.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
Black Bear
guys.
All right, you
strong.
guys have a
You
great
got
one
it.
now.
Black Bears, man.
All right,
Later.
now. Always.
All right, y'all. Later, fellas.
Philistines, brother.
Dear old May.